Hi, this is Module 7 Video 4. In this video we're going to build our exercise program view. So let me create the structure we need here. So I'm going to start with the main view here called exercise program view, and it's going to have the start, pause, resume, skip buttons. And I'm going to separate the actual exercises into a separate view, just because they're going to be in a table view controller. So here you can see that the buttons I create correspond to each of the commands that we need to execute. And I'm creating them down here through our control factory. Eventually, I forgot to assign some text here because eventually I want to use images for these. I'll probably do that in the next video though, just as part of a cleanup exercise. We've also got a progress view to show how far through the exercise program you are, and then the exercise view is the table containing a cell for each exercise. And then down here I'm constraining the layout so that the control buttons are top and center, all laid out kind of nicely relative to each other, and then the progress is directly underneath that, and then beneath that is the exercises view. So let me just assign some titles to these buttons. And as I say, I intend to put icons or images in these buttons, but text will do for now. So next up we need to do the bindings. So here you can see I'm setting up all the bindings between the various view model properties and our view objects. Also binding the commands to the buttons. And then finally I've got this subscription here which just ensures that our navigation title is equal to the exercise program name. Okay, so there's one more thing I think we need to do here, which is to stop any outstanding exercise program if this view disappears. So if the user touches the back button in the navigation control and the exercise program was currently playing, we should stop that. Actually, we don't currently expose our stop async method from our view model, so we should do that. Okay, cool, so that's building. So now we can flesh out this exercises view. I don't think it's going to be terribly complicated. Okay, so that should be all we need. Setting up a few properties on the table view like we did last time, except this time we don't allow selection and we don't have a separator. And then I'm grabbing the exercises from the view model, creating the table view source and then binding that to the table view here. I've got this level of indirection here of publish and then connect. So it's just because I'm used to doing it. I mean, we could just combine this into the one thing here in this case, make it a bit simpler. And as part of this, I've had to create this exercise view, which is the cell view for our table. And that should be the last piece we need to implement for this video. So let's get into that. So I'm just going to have each exercise show a name, a duration, and then its progress. Okay, so most of this should look fairly familiar by now, except for this bit here. Let's just make sure that the name label kind of takes precedence from a layout perspective, so that the name label resists being compressed down, so it takes up the full width and as much height as it needs to. therefore pushing the duration label over to the right hand side of the view, which is where I figure I'll put it for now. I'm not entirely happy with that, but it seems like the easiest option right now. And then the progress appears underneath that, underneath them both actually, across the length of the entire view. Now, when creating the bindings, I've realized that we don't have anything yet in our view model to bind our progress view to. We've got a progress property, but it's actually a time span, so we need some kind of progress ratio, or perhaps follow the same pattern we did in our other view models, where we've got progress time span and then progress. The progress property itself is the ratio. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so there's the implementation. I'm not going to add tests right now. I'll do that straight after this video, and of course update any other tests that need renaming or whatever. So I'm just taking, monitoring the duration and the progress time span, and then calculating the progress based on that. So now our exercise view can bind directly to progress. Okay, so that should be enough to get us going, but we've not hooked up the previous view to use this this new view, so let's do that. And of course we have an exercise program view in both this namespace and this namespace, so we have to make sure we're using the correct one, which is why I'm qualifying this here. So hopefully that's enough to get us running. Let's see if I can get this running on the on my device. Just while that's starting up, I should point out that after the previous video I did go back and update the exercise document service such that it has a new default exercise document. And this exercise document has two exercise programs, upper body strength and lower body strength. And I've since updated my app. So I deleted my iCloud doc and then reran it so that it picked up that default document. So let's see if it's running. Here we go. So there you can see the two new exercise programs. So if I go into the top one here, okay, it kind of looks okay. Obviously there's a problem with the play button that's missing for some reason, which is going to prevent us from going any further here. So let me have a look at that. Whoops, just closed all my views. So the binding looks okay to me. Okay, so the problem here is a simple copy-paste error in the layout logic. The skip forwards button left hand side should be aligned with the right of the start button plus the gap, not the right hand side, because that was just resulting in this button covering this button. So let me try that. Okay, so now there is a gap there, and I think what's happening here is the color of the text is such that we can't actually see it. So there is a start button there, I think. So let me try pressing it.
Push-ups.
Yeah. Oh, so we've got a couple of problems here. The color on the buttons is such that we can't see it, and then there's this exception that gets raised when we start executing. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, but let's start with the easy thing, which is the button color. Okay, so now we can actually see the button.
Push-ups.
And you can see that they're enabling and disabling pretty much how we expect. So now we've got to get to the bottom of this this problem here. Okay, so the problem was our new progress property was executing on the wrong thread, which was causing an exception. So I've added this observe on clause here, which implies we need to take the scheduler service in our constructor. And I've also fixed up all the tests. I figured I may as well do that now. And in particular, I've added this test, which ensures that the progress is calculated correctly. And I've got a whole bunch of edge cases there, which is why this is a little bit more fleshed out now. So all those tests work, and consequently we should be in a better position now. So let me try running the app again.
Push-ups.
Okay, so now you can see the progress both in the main progress bar at the top and then in the individual exercise. So let me try skipping ahead here.
Sit-ups.
So that's worked. And again.
Pull-ups. Biceps.
That's also worked. So give it a little bit of time here and then skip backwards.
Pull-ups. Biceps.
Which goes back to the start of the exercise as we'd hoped. So if I now skip backwards twice,
Pull.
That has not actually worked. It's just kind of died. Although the pause button still works, it just seems to have flaked out there. I'm not sure why. Let me have a look at that. Okay, so I've just looked into this issue and I kind of reproduced it in a separate project and then whittled it down and realized that I had another project that has a similar approach here and it was working perfectly. So I had a look at that and updated to the latest reactive UI, and then it started exhibiting exactly the same problem. So it's actually a reactive UI change that's kind of instigated the problem, but I've also found that we can just fix it by changing what we catch here to the more general operation cancelled exception. Because even though what was happening was our task was being cancelled correctly, reactive UI wasn't kind of picking up on that, and it was raising an exception as a result, and so that was causing issues. So by changing it to catch this operation cancelled exception, then we definitely swallow the exception and the task doesn't end up as cancelled. So reactive UI doesn't see it as cancelled. So let me try running this. Okay, so now let's see how we go. Start,
push-ups,
skip forwards,
sit-ups, pull-ups,
skip backwards,
sit-ups, push-ups, sit-ups,
pausing, resuming, skipping,
pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups.
So actually it all seems to be working okay now. So that's awesome. Now, as I said, I'm going to kind of beautify this a bit in the next video, particularly the top bit there. We need some images, some big images that the user can easily touch. As for the reactive UI problem, I'll probably submit an issue for that, because it does seem like a regression issue. So other than that, I think this is good. This is what we set out to achieve. Obviously it needs some polish. So we will get to that in the next video. I'll see you then. Bye.